Okay, our first question is I keep finding myself yelling at my kids for one thing or another. I feel awful. I grew up in a house where yelling was normal, and I swore I wouldn't do this. How do I repair it with them and catch myself before I start yelling?
That's a really good question. You know, we adults value calm and order and logic. And children, by definition, are the opposite of all of those. They're exuberant, they're very emotional, they are messy, they're not entirely reasonable. So, of course, we're going to have some friction there between our goals and their goals. So, I think it's very understandable that you would feel frustrated or even exasperated sometimes with your kids. I think anybody who does not feel that way sometimes with their kids just hasn't logged the hours with them, right? It is hard. It is hard to be around kids and to have to manage them when they are being unreasonable. At the same time, I'm really happy that your goal is to not be yelling at the kids. Usually, adults start yelling when they don't feel heard, so that you ask once and then you ask again and you ask again, and then with each request the volume gets higher. So what I would recommend to start with is to get some data. Write down what happens before, during, and after any rough spots that you have with your kids. And if you do this even for 3 days, I think you will see some patterns about what's going on. When we understand the patterns, then we can work to prevent those situations. Situational control is always easier than self control. So if you can get ahead of it and set up the situation so it's going to be less frustrating for everybody, then you're less likely to yell. We can also work on giving good directions. And I don't know how old your kids are, but it might be useful to get them involved in solving the problem. I had a client once where there were three kids, and the oldest boy really, really, really wanted to be on time for school. And his two younger brothers would dilly dally in the morning. And then he would start yelling at them. And then his mom would yell at him because, like, that was not helpful, right? So we ended up, I was there, the mom was there, and we ended up talking to the kid about what can we do to make the mornings go more smoothly. Well, this kid came up with the idea of how about if I sit in the car and just do my switch while you're getting the younger boys ready. And this was not a safety concern. He was responsible enough. The mom wasn't worried about that situation. And it worked because with him out of the picture, then she could concentrate on moving the younger kids along. And we were able to say to this kid, your solution really worked.